global happenings today. We communicate, we analyze global news. Stay tuned.
Hello guys, welcome back to our channel. We are so excited that you are back here, and today we're going to be looking at some of the things that is happening right now, and our target is actually in Kano State, where the governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Ganduje, has requested for there to be a lockdown ease in his state, and we want to compare it side by side with what is currently the resultant effect of the lockdown ease that was granted by the president of Ghana some 2 weeks ago, precisely in April 19. All right, but before we go on with details of the news and further analysis, we'd like to encourage you to please subscribe to our channel by clicking on the red subscribe button and also on the bell icon so that you can get notification anytime we publish videos on YouTube. All right, let's just look at the scenario that is standing before us right now. Abdullahi Ganduje, the governor of Kano State, requesting for a lockdown ease for his own people. He has given a reason which seems very good, but for the government to kind of reduce the lockdown or ease the lockdown in Kano State. He has given a good reason, but at the same time, we're going to look at it from the perspective of what is currently happening in respect to the increased number of COVID-19 in Nigeria. All right, but first of all, let's look at what actually brought about the lockdown in Kano State. What brought about it was that there was a scary rise in the COVID-19 cases, and there were also strange deaths in the state, and that was the reason why President Buhari had to order a total lockdown in Kano, which actually took effect some days ago, precisely on Monday. I think it took place in 1 a.m. or so, 1 a.m. Monday night, and that was just it. But right now, Governor Ganduje, Abdullahi Ganduje, cannot take it again, as he has already informed the public that his people are currently suffering, considering the fact that they are in their holy month of Ramadan, and he has requested that there should be a relax of the lockdown for a while to enable his people to step out and purchase. He said it precisely. That's yesterday. That's on Thursday. He said it, and that was good enough. But I'm going to read exactly what he said, and we're going to look at the intent, considering the global outlook on COVID-19, the impact of COVID-19 in Africa, in Nigeria, and also precisely in Kano State. All right, according to his word, he said, we would engage the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 to seek permission to relax the total lockdown imposed on Kano. We are making this appeal on behalf of our people who are presently running out of food items. We would love the federal government to relax the lockdown for a period of time to enable people stock their home, especially now that majority of us are fasting. It will also ease the economic hardship in the state. Those were the words of Ganduje. And for many people, they believe it's good enough that there should be a lockdown ease in Kano State, just to make sure that the people of Kano meet up with their needs, their economic needs and the likes. But first of all, let's be so serious. What's the attitude of the Kano resident to this pandemic? What had been their attitude thus far? The truth be told, they are careless about it. Don't forget that it was just Nigerian social media. That's why I say when they were talking about regulation of social media, I was just laughing, because social media was what brought about the control, what triggered the interest of the federal government in Kano State. People were dying every day in Kano State. Where it became so alarming was when it was reported that 175 people or so were buried in 3 days, or 150 people were buried in 3 days. And before we knew, in just 1 week, we had a case of 640 deaths in Kano. That was what triggered the whole thing, and the president had to run to their help. But now the governor is saying, please come and relax it, when the people of Kano had not even shown any seriousness. I don't know if they have been fully sensitized about this pandemic, if they have been told the mode of transmission and the likes, if they have also been told the guidelines, which I believe everybody is in the know. But thus far, there had been no attitude showing that they understand what is currently happening. But before we go ahead with just Kano State, let's look at a country which is highly respected, especially the academic ability and also the way they adhere to the instruction. Let's look at them. That's Ghana precisely. Don't forget that in April 19, the president of Ghana, in the person of President Addo, had announced a lockdown ease, total relaxation of the lockdown. And when he announced it, a lot of people celebrated him, and people were like, wow, that's a good news. And people believe, based on his words, well coined out, that they understood the dynamics of the virus. The people have been fully sensitized. They will not go against the guideline of WHO and all the likes. It was a good thing because, first of all, we've got to protect our economy and all of that. We need to kickstart everything. This virus shouldn't control us. That was what he said, and people were celebrating. I can still remember one church said, well, we've just gotten our first victory. More countries are going to remove the lockdown. My brother, it's not just to say people, Africans as a whole, we are so religious. But first of all, let's just look at what he said. He said, in view of our ability to understand aggressive contact of infected persons, the enhancement of our capacity to test, the expansion in the number of our treatment and isolation centers, our better understanding of the dynamism of the virus, the ramping up our domestic capacity to produce our own personal protective equipment, sanitizers, and medicine, the modest as successes chalked at containing the spread of the virus in Accra and Kumasi, and the severe impact of the poor and vulnerable, I have taken the decision to lift the 3 weeks old restriction on movement in the greater Accra metropolis area, in Kazwa and the general Kumasi metropolitan area, and the contiguous district, with effect from 1 a.m. on Monday, 20th April 2020. Those were the words of the president of Ghana, President Addo, and it was celebrated by Africans. They say, yeah, that's the right thing to do. But they did not know what the aftermath of this will blow their mind. Guess what is happening right now, which is the resultant effect of that lockdown? In just a period of 10 days, they have recorded a positive case of 1,032 persons. Now, before the lockdown, for as long as the lockdown had lasted, what they recorded was just 1,042 or so. 1,042. That was the number they had. But in just a period of 10 days, they recorded, when they removed the ease, that's when they removed the lockdown, relaxed the lockdown. Relaxing the lockdown for some people is like, whoa, we've been held down for so long in the house. Oh, thank God. Guess what? A lot of people secretly will be partying. A lot of people secretly will be meeting with their loved ones and hugging and enjoying themselves, believing that that COVID-19 thing has been handled finally, not knowing that they are people who are asymptomatic. They may be carriers, but you won't see any symptoms in them and the likes. Interaction started. Look at 10 days, the effect. Now, the people of Ghana, based on global spotlight, the people of Ghana are considered to be intelligent guys, that they were following the guidelines. If you look at the statement made by their president, you will realize that he was grounded in the fact that we have recorded successes. Even locally, we have been able to produce some drugs, sanitizer usage. People have been going out with face mask and all of that. That was the main reason why he was like, hey, nothing's going to happen even if I remove this lockdown. The people of Ghana understand. They will do things are right in the public and all of that. Look at what has befallen them. Right now, I don't know what the situation is like in Ghana, because it's going to be like a huge shock to him. By the time he sees even his household having the coronavirus, I think that will be an eye-opener. Now, this is the same thing that the people of Kano is requesting for. The first question I love to ask Ganduje is, when Christians were celebrating their Easter, did they remove any lockdown? Of course, no. They did not. Despite the fact that Christians, to some extent, when we were doing it, we were more informed. The South and the Southeast and the likes, they were more informed and all of that. But since we noticed that it was still increasing, hey, no matter what happened, the federal government held it back. I think at this point, these requests by Ganduje should not be accepted. Because number one, if we allow it to happen, Kano State may be a ghost land. I'm telling you the truth. It may be a ghost state. You may not see anybody there again. If you see people there, we may be able to count them. That's as we pinpoint them, count them by head and say these are the few people remaining. Because if you allow it, these guys will go haywire. They will run into the street. They won't care. You will notice that people will still interact normally. Another question that I always want to ask is, are we sure that these people have been fully sensitized? Right now, even I noticed that there's a lot of politics going on. Kwankwanso gave out a place to be used. Ganduje rejected it, and just because they seem not to understand. What did Morik say? Morik said that actually it's a COVID-19. The stronghold of COVID-19 in Kano State is a step by certain people to see how they can depopulate Kano State, which means they don't even have an understanding of the mode of transmission and how this thing is happening. They don't have an understanding about it. You understand what I'm saying? Now, Northern Elder Statement Forum, that's Northern Elders of the Forum, had already, said that this COVID-19 thing is politics and all of that. Looking at those statements, you just know these guys are totally ignorant of what is going on. And if you relax this thing, more dates will come. Right now, as I'm talking to you, they have lost a lot of senior guys, people who would have contributed their quota to the development of Nigeria. Most of them are professors, and guess what? When those things were happening, some are professors, some doctors, some captain of industry, some entrepreneurs and the likes. We've lost them. And guess what? When we were losing these guys in Kano State, what the report from the Ministry of Health in Kano was that actually it's a case of strange sickness. Somebody, even I saw in a somebody's Twitter page, the person said that it's always very normal to see increment in deaths like this whenever it's a rainy season or dry season is handing over to rainy season. That is normal. That everybody should face their own state. They should leave Kano State alone. And I was like, wow, if people are reasoning like this, then what we are going to experience will be worse than we ever expected. So right now, kindly suggestion to the government, if they have enough palliatives to send across to the people of Kano State, they should do that, whereby there will be delivery men who will go door by door to hand over these things to them. And there should be an equal opportunity both on television, radio, in all forms of, in a way that you can do. Even if someone with a loudspeaker will stand at the corner of the street when they are in their houses and scream out the guidelines of Nigerian Center for Disease Control, the guidelines for COVID-19, which has been issued out by WHO, WHO and even NCDC, they should scream it out to the hearings of these people, drum it into their head, let them understand the importance of, following those guidelines, especially social distancing, especially the issue of wearing masks, the issue of staying far away from people and all of that. Because if they don't accept that thing, what we will see in Kano State, if the president relaxes these lockdown in Kano will be disastrous. Nobody will be. By the end of the Ramadan fast, you will see the number of dates will be unbelievable. The word is said once for the wise. Now that Nigerians are speaking, because right now, if you go to the social media, most people are attacking him forever, requesting for a relaxation of the lockdown in Kano. I think that the president should stand his ground and refuse to give in to that request. They may tag him any name, but guess what? Kano people would time the presidency in the nearest future. That's where I'm going to leave it. Go to our comment section. Let us interact. What's your position on the request by Kano governor, taking into consideration what has happened?